Hello and welcome to the aMarieSpeaks podcast. This is Season 2, the video podcast sessions, and we are at episode number 10, the real number 10 this time. A few episodes back somehow I called it number 10 at the start, but this is the real number 10, and it will be the 8th and final part of my ode to Walter Russell's morning prayer. 8 parts. I love it. An octave. Okay. Very fitting. And let's roll with it. Today is October 19th. And also 19 is a wonderful day. Special day in my world. And wonderful day to finish up this project. So thank you for joining. Thanks for listening as always. If you're new, just know that, this is the conclusion. So there is 7 other episodes, about half an hour long each, that go over sections of this prayer. This is a prayer which is written by Walter Russell in his book, The Divine Iliad. And I came upon it 2 years ago from the channel The Reality Revolution with Brian Scott. I love that channel. I've been a follower of that channel for many years, and it's a wonderful channel with really diverse offerings. But anyways, the prayer, this meditation and prayer, I do it every Sunday. It happened to come about at the same time I was looking to start this new kind of, for me, Sacred Sunday routine. Make Sunday sacred again in my life, and that practice alone, in conjunction with this prayer, my life has changed exponentially. In the first year alone, it started to really change, and the second year is just unfolding even deeper than I could have even imagined. It's so wonderful. And this last paragraph here that we're going to get into today is really the cherry on top of the whole Sunday that this prayer is to me. We'll get to the end of this. It's like the perfect way for, I see, to sort of lead into what the meditation guides, which is these last couple of lines. Talk about them after. Sort of a mantra that Brian Scott says, and then he leaves you to sit with some background music for, it might be 5 or 7 minutes. I don't know how long the end is there. It could be 3 minutes, I'm guessing. But it's a little while that you get to sit and resonate in the feelings of what these words bring to you. And then the mantras afterwards are beautiful too. So super excited to dive into it. What I wanted to do first, before I get into the actual wording, is to just harken back to episode 1 and to the beginning of the prayer, and to say that this is very much like the initial greetings, right? And how, as a etiquette and a politeness, a courtesy to others, in a general free offering of niceness. Could we bring that back, please? Can we actually make that the regularity, a social setting of niceness? Not false niceness either, but just the courtesy of having an initial salutation, a welcome, a statement of general starting off, right? It's nice to have a general statement of closing as well, so that we know that we're approaching the end, the conclusion, and it's the same thing. It's social etiquette. It's a politeness and a readying that is freely offered. It's not forced or pushing either, you know. I find having these practices really beneficial, you know, to myself, to the inner aspects of myself, and when I'm working to learn to communicate better with others as well, you know, it really does help to make clear, defining points of interaction. And so, yeah, wrapping up the last, what I have kind of sectioned into my own paragraph. Like I said before, I made my own separations of the words sort of throughout here. But it goes on to say, blessed be the new day, which descendeth upon me. And I love that right there. That sentence in itself is such a sovereign statement. It can be taken into you, and I take it into me, as such a choice of accountability and responsibility to say that blessed be the new day which descendeth upon me. It's such a great reminder that my day is mine and everybody else has a day descending upon them as well. They have their own right, free choice in the path to make their day, just like I do, and to bless it. I love this word. I'm going to get back to that word in a whole episode, I think, because it is such a double-edged, rocky, sharp word, tool. But to say, I greet thee, O day, I cross thy threshold with joy and thanksgiving. Right? He even tells you how to bless the day. I love this, right? And to say these words and to really mean them. You know, I see myself each time I say this prayer in the morning standing, and sometimes I'm in, I can get in the sun, and sometimes I'm not in the sun. But I always envision standing in the beautiful dawn, and I remember the brightness and the warmth of the sun as I'm saying it, right? And I see that as the threshold, the way the sun rises on the horizon, creating this beautiful threshold of the day that I'm stepping into. And let it really feel the joy. Let it light me up with joy and thanksgiving. I love that word. And it goes on to say, my eyes are in the high heavens as I enter thy sacred temple. And again, I'm always, envisioning the beautiful, multifaceted brightness, the crystalline sort of chandeliering, multi-flecking, I don't even know how to explain, like I'm sure there's a word that I'm just lacking right now, but the iridescence of the light, the way that it comes through in different variations and coloration, right in front of my own eyes even, and sometimes I'd like to see that, the sacred temple. And just like we have our own temple of modesty, and I talked a little bit about the tower, energetic tower of my own sort of metaphysical teachings and alchemy work that I do with meditations and energy work, that I learned about the tower within us all, and we are a template of. Heaven, right? Sacred temple up there in the sun, to something like, I don't even try to define it as I say these words either. Just like I don't try to define the twinkling and the beauty and the essence of the light, or the flickering of it, or whatever it is. And I don't really try to put too much definition on this, in the high heavens, the sacred temple up there. But I do know we're all reflections of the same things. It's all the same workings. It's all the same in the unity of it, and of the design, and of the infinite intelligence. And so each time I sort of know, just like the chord connection, and just like I'm a fractal image of Source, I know that this temple that sits within me of modesty that I've already worked to enlighten in the prayer, that I feel so prismatic and alive and conscious within me, I know that that in itself is a divine reflection of the same modeling out there, in the high heavens. And it's such it just lights me up in a direction as well, like feeling like I know where I'm going, And then it goes on to say, I will sing the day through with a glad song, that the problems of the day shall be as chaff before the wind, and that others will hearken to my song and be quickened. Again, with the action of service to others tying in, with the real, positive, freely offered service and retribution readily out there, knowing it's there, knowing that you're offering to others, and taking it upon yourself to also help others in that way. It's so healing and uniting, and it creates a seeking of harmony, of harmonious solutions, like I always love to say. Sometimes when I say these words, I even sort of sing them. Sometimes I sing some of it, sometimes I just say it. It's such a beautiful metaphor as well, and I talk about this, your own unique songs and tones and the deep meanings behind the metaphors, the orchestra of humanity, seeing your family as this sort of orchestra where each instrument plays differently, and you seek to find this melody that you each impact and have your own roles within, and sometimes you play in harmony, and sometimes you play the same notes, and sometimes you play different notes. It's the idea of music and the octave again here, we are talking again about math and numbers and music, and even sometimes they don't seem related, but it's amazing the relations that are available underneath the surface layers, the purpose within the design, the infinite intelligence at work behind the beauty. We don't have to sit there always and know exactly, the mathematic equations that cause the light to shine at such a direction that it's, or whatever, it's not about having those specific definitions, but to know deep within your heart that creator consciousness does and allows for that, and that there is that steady, constant purpose, constant in such change, right? It really, it helps to be able to sing the day through with a glad song, to be able to sing your day through with your gladdest song, right? With your most truest song. Sometimes, I switch these words up too, or I think those sort of, that differentiated meaning as I'm speaking the same word, as I grab my coffee and knock things around, right? But again, there's this, the service aspect of it, the interactions with other, the offering to be heard, to be also, help others. I love this. And I love the wording of it, the old-timey language. At first I was like, what does this even mean? And still I'm kind of like that, that others will hearken to my song and be quickened. Quickened, what a word is that? It's an ancient word, and it's such a multifaceted one. I love it. Whether you choose to see it as an ignition of the flame, a spirit quickening, an excitement, a curiosity, to speed up their feet and to speed up the way they move through their day, to help their day pass quickly, any way that you choose to see it, you can see that there is an assistance in the words, a helping hand there. And I love that. And it goes on to say, my countenance shall reflect the spirit within me, that all may see. And I love that. And sometimes I turn that one into an asking as well and say, may my countenance reflect the Spirit within me, and may all see. Or I say, may all see the Spirit reflected within me, But it depends. And sometimes I like to just keep it just the way it is, because they're equally meaningful and impactful. And then, there's this general asking and saying, descend upon me, O blessed day of opportunity. Thou shalt not find me wanting. And that is the last sentence. And getting more excited here, of Walter Russell's portion. It goes on with Brian Scott's sort of affirmations, and we'll get into that after. But this I love. Descend upon me, O blessed day of opportunity. Thou shalt not find me wanting. And I love how thou, again, because remember, maybe you don't remember if you didn't hear the other episodes, but there's maybe in 3, it says, who am I? I alone am not I. Thou, my Father, art I. Thou encourages, says you, says the great other, says the Father, says the whole, says God's source. And you're saying, you're confirming to God and to your highest self, to that thou shall not find me wanting. To be wanting of things. What a tangled web we weave. What a slippery slope it is, right? It comes down to why I think the Buddha says, to suffer is to live, and to understand suffering is the state of being at peace. And I think, again, we hear the word suffer so much in this New Testament I'm reading, and Jesus talks a lot about suffering. And the root of that, right, comes from wanting. It's so simple to describe and talk about, especially if you're not at the moment of actually wanting something, right? But when it comes to the point of something that you want or need or desire, it can be a little more difficult. And depending on the week and the day that I've been having, of course, and the month, sometimes it's been more difficult to say this. I'll say through the last year, it's hardly ever been difficult to say this. And it's amazing me. I sit in awe some Sundays when I say this prayer every time, to see the change in my own wanting and in my own steady sinking into being, and to be able to say with a confidence and a real trueness this last statement's here, to now know each morning as that dawn descends upon me, as the light of God, the new day sparks me into life, I have another day ahead of me. My power of choice is activated. My gift is bestowed. I am here and alive, right? The eternal flame is lit. It's my time to be of action, to live the flame, to live the choice, to do the lessons, right? My day of opportunity. Knowing the sovereign choice is at hand allows you to see the day of positive opportunity, and to not get tied down and bogged down in all of the negative opportunity out there, especially when it's such a oppressive state out there in the real world. But to be able to know and to have seen the confirmation through the work over time, I can now speak with a steady faith, but I can also remember when this was really thin ice for me to be saying. Yeah. It's very humbling, and also can feel great appreciation for myself and for the struggle and for others and their struggle and others who were there before me who would say that, and I would be bitter or jealous or questioning or skeptic or cynical or whatever the case was about what they, how they could have something or that I didn't or that I wanted. But now I know all that I have is what I want and need, for it's already placed before me. And by taking accountability of the placement that I have, that gives me gratitude, and it gives me energy to do what I need to do and to love my days. Because we can only do one thing. We can only be one person. We can only have one day to live, right? Each day at a time. And so remembering and honoring my own, especially as this last little paragraph goes on, because, it's just highlights every unique thing about yourself as you're just giving gratitude for who you are. Like I said, such a cherry on top of the end of this. So yeah, that's the last of his words here. And then it goes on to sort of this, I'm not going to try, I forget whose wording this exactly is. You might hear the phrases and recognize. It could be Joe Dispenza, but I'm not quite sure. Brian Scott loves a lot of the wonderful figureheads of self-help and meditation and metaphysical knowledge. So you might recognize mantras like these. But he says, something wonderful is happening for me now. Something amazing is happening to me now. Something fantastic is happening for me now. Something incredible is happening for me now. I am source. I am love. I am limitless. I am. And after that it ends, and then he leaves you to sit in quiet and to absorb those feelings and to really resonate in that strongness of the I am and in the recognition of what that oneness means. And what amazing words, what journey it's brought me on, and it will continue to bring me on, I'm sure. Looking through it has been such a journey on its own, so thank you for joining me for these little dissections as I discussed the distortions I found within them, my own versions of distortions. Some of the words I feel might carry a little bit of distortion or a little bit of a negative alignment, and where I care to sort of tweak them and tailor fit them to encourage a little bit more positive alignment, positive openness. Because language really does matter. Language is how we convey our meanings. And as we're shifting here into new scenarios, new lighting, new ages, it's the dawn of the Aquarius, new earth, we have the whole sort of whatever is going on in the world, it's clearly crumbling in certain areas and awakening in others. So language needs to change with the times. And in my hopes of creating more available positive systems and ways that we can share positively and freely, I also hope to encourage us to speak freely and to tweak our language and to know more and more about why maybe we are sort of just focusing on the negative alignments and distortions of certain words, or allowing ourselves to still be caught up in and see these from these more negative sides, or letting the quote-unquote negative agenda use those terms to their benefit mostly, and where the light side, the positive systems feel like, oh, these words are highly offensive and so we shouldn't use them, or, oh, these words belong to the negative agenda so we shouldn't use them, or we need to counterbalance by some sort of offensive or defensive measures towards these usages in order to force that other side not to use them in that way anymore. So we all now use them in the positive way. And that isn't actually helpful either. That's going and that's turning sort of into the schoolyard bully instead of helping the schoolyard bully, right? And we don't want to do that. We really want to help encourage sharing in all directions. And if you still want to use negative alignment, you still want to be hurtful or choose to do that, well, that is your choice. It's there. But just know that readily available to you are many other choices. They are. And if you just choose one and try it out, you might surprise yourself in how much better it feels than the negative ones you've been choosing. And you might also notice, hey, there's lots of people over here already doing that. And you aren't alone. And you never were. And then you realize and you feel better. And then we can just sort of, like I said in the last episode about the inversions and about being able to just sort of laugh at those things that are upside down, or choose to do malaligned things or hurtful things, or choose to do these sort of things we don't agree with. We can sort of just leave them as they are and say, okay, well, I'm unaffected by you because there's infinite place and space to play in here. So I'm just going to go away into my own place and do my own thing, which feels great to me, and go see if there's others out there. And see you later. Do what you do while you do it over here, and that's it. And by doing that, we cut our entanglements with the distortions. We cut off the light and attention that is even given to those sort of negative alignments. And they will go on without us. Our light is not that important either to the great picture and scope of things. We need to, and sometimes I even need to eat a slice of humble pie, right? I say that all the time. Sit down and step out of the square dance for a minute and remember, you aren't the star of the show here. There's many other people and the whole thing does go on without you. So let them do as they will, because they will. And the sooner that you cut the ties and go do what's happy for you, sit down, rest your legs and eat, they will pick up a different thing and get going. Or they won't. But that's on them. That might cause them to seek it out finally. It might send them into their own rock bottom where they finally remember and discover that ancient well deep within them and hit that aquifer and digging finally and rescue themselves. We don't know what paths they're on. It's none of your business, right? But they can never be actually on the path of their own if we keep checking in, if we keep trying to force it. And again, that's that checking in, forcing, micromanaging. It has nothing to do with positive, freely offered service anyways. So as our light side, we should recognize that the seeking of that, hey, that's a distortion within you. That's your shadow in there. Flip your lens and go inside and figure out inside there, my friend, who and why needs a control mechanism out there. Because they must feel out of control within something that they're supposed to be in control of in their own level and layer. So dive into that level and layer and see what's going on in there. Don't ignore it or excuse it away. Do your own work. And you'll be amazed, however long it takes you to do that work, when you come out of it, the ripple effects will end up resolving themselves out there with the other, with the external, with whatever was out there bothering you before. It'll be in a divine, wonderful, miraculous way. A co-creation that allows that other thing, the distortion, the shadow, and God source to all have played a part and role, their own part and roles, in their own days, right? Just like you played it in your way. And again, remembering that great sort of symphony, the orchestra that we're all a part of, right? And understanding that not every instrument plays the same part of the song or the same rhythm and beat. or the same keys and measures, right? So, yeah, in closing, this has been a wonderful discussion. I can't wait to see where my next brainstorming sessions will bring me in behind the scenes, and also my next actual video for deconstructing distortions. I don't even know what my next term's going to be yet. I think I might comb back through the terms that I popped in through the prayer and start maybe with one of those. But we will see. In the meantime, you could always find me on Telegram if you use that platform, aMarieSpeaks. That's the best place to keep up with me right now for links to my different content, or my website, aMarieSpeaks.com. You can follow me on my backup channel, aMarieSpeaks2, YouTube, for now, until I get situated elsewhere. But thank you so much for your time and your contribution to our collective. We wouldn't be the same without you, of course. Thank you for witnessing mine, as always, and I will see you